Behold your children of time.
Patience, my brethren.
The Great One is all-seeing. All praise to the Great One.
Thank you, the Great Ones. Right. Welcome again to our Children of Time show when, like some dodgy child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, I kidnap under 35 Whovians and assemble them here to answer for the latest RTD episode of Doctor Who, The Well. In this case, is this the best that RTD can do? We'll find out later. My Who Night team gave their instant reaction and were very fresh and impassioned with their responses. 11 p.m. Saturdays, tune in. My Sunday assessors were assessors for the ratings, the episode, and scoring the ratings as well. A feisty chat, a right stoush at a couple of points between me, John, and Paul. Good debate, though. The way it should be. No cancellations, no blocking, no dummy spits. Leave that to the space babies, eh? That's Sundays at 5:45. Who's going to have a fight with who next, eh? So, I've set the Children of Time creche up. Yep, toys are everywhere. You know why they're here, the under 35s, as is. RTD said these were the chosen ones, the prize-catching TV. Doctor Who is the top drama for under 35s, he said, yeah, just as a reminder. In Britain, certainly, we're getting the biggest, youngest audience of any drama, blah, blah, blah. Yep, that one. So I followed his logic and thought, let's see what an assembly of his chosen ones say on the news of Doctor Who, the latest rumours, the ratings, the episode, next week's episode, Trump's tariffs. No, sorry, not the lot. As always, the thread are on fire. I really appreciate your presence, your views and your sharing. I also do try to get you on, but I do have the super chat facility there if you want your question or view to be noticed by me, this old fuddy-duddy here, yeah? Remember, the people on the telephone for Noel Edmonds' multicoloured swap shop, remember that, the switchboard? Well, I've the Who pets on slave labour contracts, manning your texts and dealing with any super chat contributions. I've heard it's a buzz now. Let me just tune in. Oh, they're all bloody asleep. Look at the state of that. Is anybody on the phone? Is anyone super chatting? Charm in. Bloomin' hell. It's hardly a Brisbane sweatshop, is it? So, super chats are available to pay for the Who pets for wages. I mean, somebody's got to pay them. I'm not. They've got a union, you know. Just so you know. Right. Shall we get the creche open? I'm like the super nanny. Let's get them on then. Let's see who's first in the creche. Let's have a look. Here he is.
Captain Sonny Waffles, the young gun, age 26, here to tell some more truths.
Right, the playpen's over there for you. That's it. We'll have you over there. And who's next? Who's been dropped off? Here we go.
Hello. It's me again, Ryan, 31, here to see what's happening.
He's the dodgy one, isn't it? If you put him in a playpen or a creche, he's effing and blinding all the time. You'd have him taken away. Yeah, I know. He's yeah. Oh, there's potty mouth Ryan. Oh, no. I'm joking.
My excuse, I'm Irish and I'm allowed to swear.
Yeah, I think it's very, yeah. And we've got Sean from my part. So basically, here we go.
From your parts, where's this going? Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, we've started low, haven't we? Oh, look at this. And you see, and look, John Eulden's got in there first with his super chat. There you go. Look, the switchboards are on fire.
John, don't encourage him, John. Don't respond to Brendan whoring himself out on here like some cheap harlot. Don't respond
I'm like some dodgy Middlesbrough tramp underneath Albert Bridge. So, £4.99. Thank you very much.
Having a drink today, Brandon?
So, thank you very much. That's very generous of you, John. I think that'll pay for new sandals for one of the Who pets. You know, the Moses one. Evening all. Sense for you does super chats, you know. Like and subscribe all. Thanks for saying that. Garbage normally helps with that message, but thank you for that. And John, you're welcome. And right, the creche is open. So you know what it's all about. We need to get on with the items and let's get started, eh? That's what people have come to see. So here's the first one, lads. I'll go big just so everybody can actually see. I saw this on Twitter, right? I've seen some people up in arms about this, but to me, amongst other things, it was a pretty relatable moment in The Well, as butch straight man acts uncomfortable around a queer guy, so queer guy it deliberately and defiantly dials up camp even further. Oh, he's so my doctor. Did you see that? No. What did you think of that in The Well, that bit of dialogue?
I vomited. There's no place for it.
I'll just remind everybody as Ryan comes in, that the dialogue, of course. Oh, I'm just not loving the look, babes, says the doctor. It's not appropriate to call me babes. It's a blooming army, isn't it? Okay, hun. I mean, Ryan.
Well, I only have really 3 gripes with this episode, and unfortunately, this is one of them. I did have a conversation with my best friend about this yesterday, who is a good Doctor Who fan as well. Now, I don't like. I call my best friend Babes all the time, and in that ironic way, it's like, right, Babes, what's happening? You got that part done for me. You say that to your best friends, but I don't like all this forced be. It's the same thing why I didn't like the whole fam thing in Jodie's era. They're just trying to force this babes thing like it's some sort of catchphrase. If it was done in an ironic way, it'd be funny, but it's actually being played very seriously, and it's just getting a bit boring.
Yeah, but I'm bringing in Sean here. That's our next. Sean, honestly, this is one person saying, butch straight man acting uncomfortably about a queer guy, so queer guy deliberately says, okay, hun. The point is, Sean, I thought Doctor Who was teaching us that if somebody wants certain pronouns, you respect them, like in Star Beast. And suddenly, we're shown in the dialogue that if somebody says, I'd rather not be called babes, it's like, well, stuff you, mate. I'm still going to use certain phrases. Sean, double standard here.
Yeah, I mean, God forbid we treat people, by the content of their character. I thought that was the point. Like, if that's the way that person wants to see the world, then they're fully entitled to see the world that way. But I don't see it that way, and I'm glad I don't see it that way. So, enjoy yourself, enjoy the episode, enjoy a little victory. But I just don't get it. It takes out of the episode. Like, it wasn't a great one anyway, which we'll get into. But yeah,
we'll get into. Don't you worry. So I just thought it was a funny little tweet, and I thought, yeah, but there's double standards. Anyway, there you go on that one. Garbage, obviously. Thank you very much. That's very decent of you. Think of the Who pets. They need clothes, new undies. I will make loads of adverts soon. We'll have our own travel agency. When you watch ITV during the day. No, sorry, I'm retired. Maybe you don't. And they said, oh, join in this competition. You could win a motorhome. Well, the Who pets are going to have a range of stuff that if you do a super chat, you might be able to. Oh, yeah. I'll try not to put you off. But thank you very much, Garbage, and thank you very much, John Yulden. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. So here we go. Here's the other item. Is this the one you were thinking about, Stephen Braddock, as breaking news? Let me go bigger, just so everybody's seen it. Oh, my God. Ryan, I am so excited. A 2-episode finale, Wish World and the Reality War, Saturday, the 31st of May. And there's no streaming situation here. Oh, no. It all gets listed at the same time. So in the UK, it's 7 p.m. In America, it's 11 a.m., 1 p.m. Central. India, the 11:30, and it goes through to 4 a.m. for Australia, that sort of thing. So I suppose, is it good news we get it all out the way? Or is it good news it's in the cinema? Or, wow, Ryan, are you taking your son? Are you taking your family?
I do have a theory about this. I was catching up on all this today. I'm now, because I have mentioned this, I think, every week we've been on since it's came back. I'm now think even more so that we are getting a regeneration at the end of this series.
Yes. Oh, don't tell the shooty Who pet.
The reason being as well, now comparing it to the one that they done last year, because they done the same last year. Now, I think it says in the advert somewhere for that the run time is like 150 minutes or something like that.
Okay.
And if you take into account both episodes and then like a 15-minute interval, there's like an extra 10 or 15 minutes there somewhere. So maybe those reshoots they were doing in February might have something to do with it. I think we're getting the regeneration, and this is going to be the final season of Doctor Who for a while.
Oh my God! And she shuts the book, and it's a story at the end. Sonny, what are you thinking? I'm trying to detect if I can see excitement or not. Let's have a look. Are you excited?
More constipated. I'm worried. A movie length finale sounds like too much to sit through at one time for my poor little heart, to be honest with you. But other than that, I'm very confused because a regeneration implies to me a season 3, and I want to milk this, but I also like getting it out the way. So a lot of mixed messages.
The thing is, if this was old Doctor Who, I mean, everyone can pick your 2 episodes you'd love banked together in the cinema. Oh, this is not the 50th anniversary in the cinema when you saw Tom Baker as the curator appear as a surprise. No. This is like Space Babies and Devil's Cord put together in the cinema. I mean,
It's kind of like a Demon Slayer movie that came out recently. That's what it kind of sounds like. They kind of did the same thing. It's the season finale as a movie. So
yeah, Sean, I mean, it's exciting stuff, isn't it? This is up there with like Middlesbrough getting to the playoff final.
I mean, yeah, that's not happening either. We could go together, me, you, Cinnamon, Jamie. We could get little podcast mics on our lapel. We could live. We'll be the only ones in there.
No, I'll fill.
And the hoopettes.
If I take all the hoopettes, we'll fill the cinema.
Maybe a row, but.
And I'll take a photograph with the hoopettes everywhere, and then they'll be going. It's fully booked with puppets. I don't know. That could be quite surreal. So, just so everybody knows, yes, you can. I'm sorry. I'll just show a bit more detail, Sean. I'll bring you straight back in, right? So, 2 episodes. Obviously, Wishworld will have been shown, so it's a recap. Leads into what you've been saying there, Ryan. There's the summary just to kind of get you all excited. Belinda Chandra's been kidnapped by robots. Well, we know that bit already. Face a terrifying god. I think that was Lux. And a creature of pure evil on her travels with the Doctor. So I think they've covered episodes 1, 2, and 3. With the TARDIS still unable to get her home to Earth, Belinda must fight for her life as the Doctor faces an almighty threat to reality itself. Oh, so Sean, as I bring you back in, so yes, as Ryan said, look at that. Everything has to be shown simultaneously. And of course, we've got the hashtags. Tables don't do that. And the Doctor's last stand. There you go.
I mean,
Sean's died. He's died.
The silence is deafening.
But like, does anyone care? Like, genuinely, does anyone care? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, no one. Like, if this was way back when, and they were putting, I don't know, Stolen Earth and whatever else in the cinemas, or they were putting some classic Genesis of the Daleks restored 4K whatever on the screen, yeah, you'd go watch that. But this, I honestly, good comment, Peter. But who cares? Genuinely, who cares?
Well, I don't know. It's a nice conspiracy tonight. Eye of Horror's editorial. Now he's your compatriot, Sean, isn't he? Who has to go in the other corner of the classroom.
Yeah. This
is a bit like, at the Christmas you get presents. Some teachers do. I never did. Wonder why. £5. Thank you very much, Eye of Horus. Butch Straight Man, was he talking about Brendan? Yeah, I think so. Have a good evening of banter, which we need in these dark times, as RTD would eulogize. Yeah, you've kept it concise, so Eye of Horus. He would say, we need it in these dark times. We need to be madder, wilder, bigger, brighter. Yeah, and then he'd keep going, and then he'd snort. Sonny, do you like the hashtags?
I watch Doctor Who cope artists on YouTube for fun. I don't even know what tables don't do that means. Like they're not even talking about that hashtag. Have we seen a table in these
Not
3
yet.
episodes? Like it doesn't even make sense. Why would I care?
I think that one in the story in the engine, maybe, or the wish, the episode 7 one, because I think everything just gets turned upside down. I just think the world changes. Mavity, I think we get some payoffs. I hope so.
Just say nonsense and move on then if you're gonna talk like that to the RTD.
So we've heard Ryan's theory. They need to get this out because obviously there may be a big regeneration, even started, maybe not finished.
I don't think they'll follow through of it, as the chat's saying as well. I think it'll be a start of a regeneration, and then that'll be it. It'll be open ended.
Cut to black. It'll be like Adric all over again.
Yeah, no, it really will just be an open ended situation. Pretty much season 23 all over again.
And look. By the way, I want to put this on the record. I am not delighting if Doctor Who finishes because there's no guarantee it would come back. But there's no guarantee it would come back. And if all of us were told there'll be no more Doctor, we all get to age 90 or 100, however lucky we ever get, and we realise that actually the 31st of May 2025 was the last time Doctor Who was on. That might be a shame.
Only if
I
you
don't want it to go away. Oh, sorry, go on ahead.
Sorry, mate. No.
Sonny?
Only if you could. Sorry.
Sorry. We'll go down the road. Sonny first and then Ryan.
No, I would just say you have to have a little faith. I'm not scared of a cancellation, but I would delay it a little bit in a continuation because it's just more content to farm.
Ryan?
That's it. Like, I don't want Doctor Who to go away. I want Doctor Who to be really good again. Maybe what I want out of Doctor Who right now is something very, very different to what the vast majority want. But no, I don't like. We all want Doctor Who to continue, but I think we can all agree we want it to be good.
Yeah. And finally, Sean, on this item.
Yeah, it depends entirely on if you consider this Doctor Who, which I do not. It's Doctor Who in name only. It's awful. Like I know I can understand people being worried of it ending, but do you want to see this continue? Do you want to see there's a certain point where a show needs to be put down, not to be too blunt about it, and this just needs to stop because the longer it goes on, the more damage it does, and it will get to a point where if we're not there already, you're not able to you can't course correct, you can't save this. Can you imagine how good this is going to have to be when it comes back to get anybody back?
Well, let me just say I've got a big, massive spoiler, and I've saved it till this moment. And I thought Ryan was about to give it away about the ending, but here we go. I've managed to get. I had a lad on recently who saw a lot of the filming of the looks and other things, and he's actually given me this photograph, and this is related to the last Doctor Who episode of this season. Are you ready? You ready, everybody? If you don't like spoilers, you might just want to give us a minute. Are you ready? Here we go. In the final, the villain will be a mixture of the Master and Missy. There you go.
What?
Is this a joke? I thought this was a joke.
I hope so. What is that?
You're messing with us.
No, yeah, I'm messing with you.
It was the scariest monster yet.
Yeah, from a gold tooth into Missy Master. So, sorry, I couldn't help, as if I have any. I can guarantee everybody in the thread, I am the only streamer who can guarantee to you, I know nothing. I have no sources. Nobody talks to me. We just use common sense. And I like it that way because everyone talks a bit of BS. So, yes. So there you go. Do you like that?
I pull that wig off.
God knows who this is. But we might have a drag queen in the final. You know what it's like. So anyway, here we go. And just before we go on to proceedings, we've got the ratings tonight, the updates. We've got the well to talk about. We've got Lucky Day to talk about. I used to buy every Target book. And when you see these lads, I know No. No.
I was about to make a World War II joke about burning books, but I won't.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, no. Sonny, would you buy these now? Look, I got Target books like many people did because there were no VHS. We didn't have any videos. They weren't doing repeats, so it really worked. But I can't see why I'd buy the book now, which is technically just a kind of prose version of a rubbish episode. Would you get them, Sonny?
I never. I've had my eye on a Doctor Who Three Doctors comic book from the New Who era, so I definitely would rather read that. Why would I read the episode I just watched? And I there's no extra details because they would be in the episode.
Yeah. Oh, well, actually, Ryan, the truth is, as you know, in these quick episodes, RTD doesn't explain things, so they might be in the book.
Very possible. I'll sadly never know because I won't be reading them. So
no, I won't. And I'll just get the set from this under 35 creche. Sean, will you be getting them?
I might do. I consider it, and I'll tell you for why I consider it. If we ever have a situation where we have to stay in our homes again, you won't have to rush out and buy toilet paper and fight in the aisles for toilet paper. You can buy stacks and stacks of these books and use it to wipe your derriere, as the French would say. That's what you can do.
Yes, if there's a war or something. Yeah, well, you know what happened with lockdown when we all needed toilet paper fast, apparently. Why did that happen?
Forget weapons and bullets. Just throw these novels at them. They'll turn tail and run. That's the kind of sickness they're prepared to go to.
I tell you what, if we beamed Doctor Who on big screens, the Russians would turn around going, oh, that country's lost to the world, They think Jinx Monsoon's a monster. What the hell? They watch RuPaul all night. They'll turn around. So I think that if you want to scare the Chinese or the Russians, show them our TV content. They'll run a mile going, do they like this sort of thing? So anyway, now Shooty, the great Shooty, our doctor. He's still the Doctor, Ryan, at the moment. He's still there. Doesn't he look fantastic as a cartoon?
Oh, he really does. Like, what can I say? Like the purple backdrop and everything. The sky remote. Screwdriver looks incredible. The details fab. Obviously I see he's wearing the outfit, presumably from the finale. That's my personal outfit that he's ever worn out of the 1,000 outfits that he's worn in 2 seasons. So yeah, no, I think it's fantastic.
Well, I will show you, lads. This is what he's wearing in Lucky Day. This is Doctor Who.
The Backstreet Boys video in it. Is he going to start dancing? I want it that way.
It looks like.
Oh, I tell you what, Brennan. I tell you what. You don't want a skid mark in them, do you?
No. Hey, I don't want to have any beans or gravy either. But mushy peas. No, my concern. You wouldn't even go nightclub and dress like that if it was allowed, because you'd come back, with beer everywhere. You just wouldn't work. This reminds me. No, I'm older than all of the panel. Maybe some of the thread. No, was it 5? And they had that video, and they were in those little circular bits. They were coming out of. They were like in a version of our TARDIS now, and so it could be a video for a pop video for 5. Unbelievable. But anyway, if I go bigger, this is Doctor Who in 2025, run by RTD.
It looks more like a sort of model, sort of promotional photo shoot rather than an actual story from Doctor Who. It's weird. It looks like he's about to do a piece for the Radio Times.
He's on the catwalk right now.
What a load of ballots.
I do my little turn on the catwalk. Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah. Yeah. People are saying he's 17. Lee Smith thinks he looks cool in white. Have to say, it's actually in another sort of way. It makes more sense than some of the costumes where they're multicolored and it gets silly.
It's not a not a bad look. That's the thing with his Doctor. I feel sorry for him with the costume aspect because he wanted to actually have that to a proper costume, but he's got no look. Like, that's the problem with this series. And I thought this when I was watching your Sunday night show, when you were going through the pictures of the series and stuff and the episode. You could take any other series of Doctor Who and any other Doctor, and you know straight away at a glance, it's not Sylvester McCoy and something else. It's not Christopher Eccleston and something else. It's not David Tennant and Casanova. It's them in Doctor Who. At a glance, with this show, you're going, is that him in something else? You can't place it at all, and it's such a good example of the show. Nothing sticks. It's just light guff, isn't it?
Yeah, and as people are saying in the thread, it's not he's Julie. It's not a practical outfit, so I'm guessing this is the Doctor Light episode, Lucky Day, and he'll just be sat on some deck chair somewhere. It's a bit like Midnight in Reverse when Donna went on she just had a kind of health farm day, didn't she? While he went into the shuttle, and it's just, what the hell are we doing? The Doctor used to not give a damn about his outer exterior, really. It was only in New Who he goes, oh, new teeth. Oh, I've got long hair. Am I ginger? Remember, New Who is doing all this nonsense. So, Sonny, great look, eh?
I never gave points for looks. I don't care about the looks. I can only be happy he's wearing pants. The pants streak continues. So that's all I can say about it.
Well, we know he wears white briefs after the giggle, so we know.
He does. It's going to be interesting to see him spotless at the end of the episode after whatever he did to confirm we're in Fantasyland, you know?
Can I just say, it's a good job he didn't start the era wearing a white outfit, because if he'd been on Space Babies, he'd have had poo, snot and bogies everywhere. It would have been a disaster. So, as spaghetti bolognese, anyone says garbage? I know it. As people are saying, he's doing the Daz doorstep challenge here. Anyway, you can look forward to Lucky Day. There you go. But there was another shot of him. You see, now does this make you think of anything?
Is he starring in a Home Alone remake as Harry and Marv? What's that? What is that?
He look like him.
Someone photoshopped it in. Oh, that is shocking. Who signs off on these photos? Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is horrific.
I thought he looked like a bum. He's a bum. Look at him. Yeah. Go on.
I have loads of, as everyone sees, I always have lots of tea. It could be a tea cozy. I mean, it's like,
it's that scene from Indiana Jones with the Staff of Ra, isn't it? Where it beams onto a map of Gallifrey and tells the Doctor where he was born.
I bloody hope it's not the Rod of Razalon. But
hey, you steady on, Brendan. We've had rods and we've had parts, and now we've got rods. You just calm yourself. You've been watching too much Doctor Who. Calm yourself down. Calm yourself down, son.
I want to show you, because have you noticed, everybody, the under 35s are scoffing at their Doctor's look. What about this thing?
I do like that.
I do awful.
I'm sorry, but he just set me over the edge with his delivery. He looks like a bum.
He does. And Hartnell looks like a bum there too. So
do you know what? Do you know what we're gonna have to figure out in that episode where he wears the hat? We're gonna have to figure out is the Doctor sobbing and crying again, or is it just sweat from under his hat? He's gonna sweat his bits off wearing that hat.
Yeah.
God,
but look at William Hartnell. I mean, you know,
pulls it off at least, right? You know, he's gonna be a real character. The guy would just look like a bum, like a regular LA bum.
So this is it. They're trying to bait us that we're scoffing at Shooty's uniform and costume, but he will say it's a eulogy to William Hartnell's Doctor, won't he?
I mean, I'll tell you what, Brendan. Those two pictures. I mean, I can't tell them apart. They're absolutely identical. Come on, come on! Like, I'm not big. Come on now. Come on now.
There's no DEI. What's that? It's not. It doesn't exist. There's nothing going on with our British show at all. Nothing's changed. So anyway, I thought you'd have a bit of fun with some of the photographs there. Did you? Did you see this news, by the way, as we get a bit closer to getting on with it? Black Mirror creator Charlie Brooker was asked to write for Doctor Who.
Why didn't he do it then?
He tells you. He tells you. Yeah, he says two of the most popular sci-fi series collide as Charlie Brooker reveals he was invited to write for Doctor Who. I thought you'd like this because you've all been mentioning him before. Asked if he would like to write a series of sci-fi, Brooker said that the idea was an interesting one. Asked if he would like to write a new series of Star Trek, he said, I've never seen The Next Generation. I've only seen the original series when I was a kid. And then, however, I was sort of asked about Doctor Who once. I wasn't asked to run it. I was asked to write for it. And it felt a bit like the Home Office asking you to do something, like it was my national duty. But I just didn't have the time because I was busy. Okay, so there you go, Ryan.
Well, does he have time now? Like, Charlie, give us something. Jesus Christ.
It's not big enough.
Oh, wait,
it's
well,
not.
hold
It's
on.
not relevant now. Not
Oh,
big
it's
enough
too
now.
little, too friggin' late now.
Yeah, sliding doors. One of those moments, eh?
But it
We
is
might-
kind of sad, though. We literally could be sitting here literally weeks away now from the cancellation of Doctor Who. It's
Yeah.
quite sad.
It definitely is. It really is sad. I do think it's sad. I am not a streaming platform of hate. I am not delighting in this. Go back to my first streams a year or so back, and I was willing it on, but I've been very disappointed. And
I was willing it on, and then I watched it.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. You can be optimistic in the light of no evidence, but once evidence comes in, you become cynical, and that's, I think, where I am now. And it's a shame. I don't like that. Final little bits and bobsies here, lads. Lucky Day has, I can never say his name. He's Conrad, basically, in this. And when they were filming it last year, you know, the fans were guessing, is it a parallel London in Lucky Day? Remember, this is the Dr. Light episode. Somebody messing with time. Now, actually, we think about it, you're going, well, that's getting a bit more interesting now, because we know what something's going on with Mrs. Flood. And then, so this person, I'm starting to think this character might not be a good guy, the one who's dating our Ruby Sunday. And so the speculation a year ago was there were photographs around the Cardiff set saying, what would Conrad do? Everybody can be happy. Conrad sees our hard work. So he's kind of a podcaster. But then, so people are saying, oh God, is he going to dupe Ruby to just get into unit? Is he like a Harold Saxon figure? Then, of course, and they released this photograph this week for Lucky Day. And he looks as though, is he about to, you know, sabotage the TARDIS? It's looking interesting. But then he did an interview this week and he said this. Conrad meets the Doctor when he's a young boy. From that point, he's obsessed with him. He's desperate to meet him and idolizes him on some level. He's dedicated a lot of his life to finding out about him and trying to meet him. This sounds like Love and Monsters, doesn't it?
It's Love and Monsters again. Yeah.
Yeah. When we meet Conrad, he's running a podcast which at least in part focuses on sightings of the Doctor. He's a super fan.
Oh, that's definitely going to be used to poke some. That's definitely going to be used to poke some. Definitely.
Yeah. And then he just said he enjoyed playing the character, Ruby's new boyfriend. He's someone who adores Ruby and wants to be as brave and heroic as the Doctor, but in doing so, he puts himself and Ruby in terrible danger.
I reckon he's cozying up to Ruby to get a bit of the Doctor me. I reckon because wasn't this a rumor like 2 years ago before the first series came out that Ruby got a boyfriend and the boyfriend was essentially after a little bit of how's the TARDIS with the Doctor.
But Sean, it makes sense if he's just idolizing him as a super fan that yes, he wants to be with the Doctor, but not like what you're saying. Just he wants to be there and get his autograph type thing.
But I know that. And in previous years, I would have thought that that would be where they'd go. But after watching this recent era, I have a feeling they could. All avenues are open. Is all I'll say. I think all avenues are open.
That can have many meanings.
No, I didn't mean like that. No, don't. No. Calm yourself down. Didn't mean like that, people.
God, this crash is wild sometimes.
You set the tone.
Well, it's you lot. You're all messing on. I'm like, I'm the super nanny. I'll sort you out. Naughty steps are everywhere. Eye of Horus has been on it for a week.
He's an idiot though. Like, say if he was, if he's dating Millie Gibson, just he doesn't need to worry about the doctor. He's got life figured out.
There you go. I keep hearing that the BBC will not cancel Who because it makes money, but it's the classic stuff that's making the money. So you can still cancel this stuff and still make money on the classic media. Yeah, exactly. Two things can be right at the same time there.
Oh, yeah,
Stephen,
totally.
yeah, Stephen Braddock, Brendan, the doctor meets Conrad, age 7. Yes, I think that's that shot that we've seen in the trailer. Yes, and that sets him on a disastrous path with terrible consequences. I tell you what, if the doctor wasn't in the universe for a few years, people would live. Last week, when we get to the well, I'll be so interested in talking about that blooming ending. But we're nearly there. So, oh yes, somebody's putting in the thread. So podcasters can get girlfriends. How does that work?
Yeah.
I know.
Very interesting.
I know. Very interesting indeed. So, there you go. I've given you a few tasters of Lucky Day. Unit's back. So is their scientific advisor with rockets in her wheelchair. Evil. And you'll have a bit of romance because, of course, it's always soap opera with RTD. But it's time, lads. It's our ratings time because there's been a lot of news. Our great program. Here we go. Yeah, sorry, I'm going all American. Yeah, come on, come on down.
Are we your dollies, Brendan?
Yeah, come on, dollies, do your dealing. Wouldn't be allowed now, would it? So, there's so much ratings news. I'll show you it. Everybody's heard my opinion, and John Yulden, who's been on with me. I want your opinion, lads, as under 35s, right? So let me just go a bit bigger. So you can thank you, Gary Lee, for the one on the left. That was the breakdown of the Saturday night, and you can see that Doctor Who, Ray, it beat Casualty and blankety blank. Ray, it's doing well again. And it got 1.86 in the overnight ratings, which some people got excited by. It's gone up again.
Just because it's gone up slightly, it still is not good.
I knew it was instant cope because the first thing he says is some perspective in all caps. I'm like, oh, you're coping. You're coping.
It's under 2 million. It's absolutely abysmal. And you still see people like defending it, and people are entitled. If you're enjoying it, fine. But then to go online and be like, it's doing really well, and blah, you're like, are you kidding yourself? You've got to be kidding yourself. Like it's sub 2 million. Like it's like worst rating goes up a bit. Like people probably left the telly on after the match is what I'm thinking. Oh, Casualty's on after this, just leave it on.
Yeah, and because as you're saying there, match of the day, the semi-final in the FA Cup led up to Doctor Who, and that's what used to happen.
Really good game.
Yeah, and that's what does happen. I even though we've all got remote controls and everything, you do sometimes just leave it on a bit longer. Gary Lee, on behalf of a lot of streamers, he's a good lad, has been trying to get the 5-minute breakdowns, and as soon as he gets them, he'll share them with us, and we'll do a program about those 5-minute breakdowns, because they'll give that away, Sean, about what happened at the end of Match of the Day and Doctor Who. Was it one of those legacy moments? Yeah. So that was the first bit. So of course, yes, Brendan, your casual streamer, happened to do a little show about it. But there was other news that we talked about last week. The second episode saw a hefty drop of 570,000 to only 3 million in the consolidated. However, the show rose in the end to be the best one of the day on BBC. But, that's just, as is. So basically, it started at 1.58 overnight, and in the end, it got to 3, but that was it. And Robot Revolution, it didn't catch up. In fact, it got further away. So basically, it looks as though we're going in the wrong direction.
It tells me that I was right about everything. I said the Robot Revolution was trash. Lux is actually pretty good. So when people actually watch it, they went up. This one, it's not going to go up as much as Lux because the Well wasn't as good as Lux. That's my opinion, but I think it's going to play out in the numbers.
Yeah, it's shocking that happened, but that also confirms that with Lux's consolidated 3 million, the previous lowest was Battlefield Part 1 in 1989 when the show was cancelled at 3.1. Lux is now the worst ever consolidated. That's it. The worst ever.
It's still better. It's still better than the Well. People just don't like meta scenes, which is what that tells me. Like the meta scene does kill the episode almost.
But you know, I mean, it's awful that Battlefield always gets dragged out into this because it can be just an accident of history that Battlefield happens to be the one that got the lowest ratings, but it doesn't mean it was a bad episode per se. You know what I mean? It's just, but yeah, maybe the portents are there. Maybe that is the last. You know, we're doomed because Battlefield didn't have Disney streaming platforms and didn't have the hype that it gets nowadays. Doctor Who was up against Coronation Street and other things. It was up against its own BBC. Its own side was trying to sabotage it. It hasn't got that now. So anyway, there we go. And Gary Lee also, you know, the future is streaming and you under 35s love streaming. iPlayer views for the Well pre-transmission were 74,000. Okay. For the Robot Revolution, there were 210,000. A portent of things getting worse.
That's quite a hit.
It is. And I'll just kind of wrap up a few other things here. So, right. So now everybody's had their consolidated in. Let's play Where's Wally? Where's Doctor Who? Is it in the top 5? Oh,
no. Where's Wally was right. Where's Wally was right.
Yes, The Apprentice is there. Grace, Beyond Paradise, Note Beyond Paradise. I'll be coming back to that. Britain's Got Talent. The 1% Club. Yeah, then you hit your soaps, Coronation Street and Emmerdale, and Have I Got News for You, which is basically just a half-hour quiz show thing. More soaps. The News beat Doctor Who.
We gotta be informed.
Can I just say that again? The News at 6 o'clock beat Doctor Who by 500,000. And Doctor Who was in 25th place, behind 4 news items and Goggle Box. I mean, and I was slightly disappointed, Ryan. The Antiques Roadshow just slipped underneath Doctor Who because it just summed up the situation.
It was poor findings. Poor findings in Doris's attic that week.
That was it.
Deary me, that's very sad indeed.
You're not positive about this? Top 30. I'm positive. This is good stuff. Good ratings. Top 30.
Wow. What you mean? You mean the 1% Club beat Doctor Who? And
we can't compete with the 1% Club and the News. Come on.
And you've got the News with its Disney platform and marketing hype beats Doctor Who with all. It is, as we keep saying, when you compare to these programs, when it's a downward Sonny, I bet you on that list, Doctor Who is the most expensive program on it.
Oh, to be fair, Simon Anthony in the comments made a very good point. The Pope died. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, but he didn't die 3 days. He didn't die 3 days in a row. He didn't die 3 days in the bloody row, though, did he?
Sure he did.
Wednesday, Thursday.
And that's
The
the
Pope
only
has
thing
died.
people
The
look
Pope has
at.
died again. Do you remember that the Pope died on Tuesday? I mean,
Well,
I
I
know
know-
Carol Maley is a good presenter, but come on.
That's a long death.
Well, I know what. Come on, then RTD knows
I'm
what to
trying to
do
take
with.
Sonny's approach. I'm trying to be more positive here. You know what I mean?
Don't
a
you
fast
dare
movement.
leave me as a negative one.
I think this under 35's crash is going to end up. They'll all be sat in the corner crying and throwing dummies at each other.
I'm going
Right,
to start
so
throwing my toys in a minute.
I'm not going to throw mine. They're too
it will
expensive.
never get. It will never get as bad as when my brother threw his Tonka toy at my head to try and carve out my face. Metal. Thanks, my brother Stephen. Thank you. Hello in Australia. So no, it is. Yes, okay. The Pope died once, and then they milked it for all they could do it on the BBC News. I know, but RTD knows the next plot he needs to do. Instead of doing the Eurovision, he should have had the Pope dying. Doctor Who meets.
Oh, God.
Oh no! I just seen Simon coming back again. The Pope didn't
I
laugh.
know,
as
I've
well as
just
Doctor
seen it
Who.
as well.
Well, yeah, it's very much going that same way. Flip's sake.
Yeah. If he rose again, it'd be
Sorry,
Oh.
the hashtag. Sorry, Dom goes just come with the hashtag. These honestly, chat, you're on fire. You've got better content than us. This isn't good, right, guys? We need to step it up. The chat's doing better than us.
Fucking hell, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you. I don't know about you, but discussing Doctor Who, it does feel very much like RTD's, parading a corpse around. No, I'm not saying there's any similarities. I'm just saying it's very much, this is not a good time to be a
Convenient
Doctor Who
timing
fan.
for the Pope to
Literally.
die.
So we have
Oh
to pay
yeah,
our
when it comes to something, the Doctor Who's that bad that Pope gets halfway through your series and goes, nah, I can't do this. I cannot do this.
Oh god, the chat is just went into complete disarray now. The Pope's regenerating now.
The Pope regenerates. He's supposed to.
Oh, we're gonna-
Do you know, Sean,
We're going
thanks
to
to
hell.
this, I'm going to have to, when I did a detention club for my greatest mess in the galaxy, I'm going to have to do a confession. Brendan's Doctor Who confession night, and you can all join us. Sorry, Father, we talked about the Pope. Sorry.
Do you know what it'd be? Do you know what
I
it'd be?
made too many jokes about the Pope.
Bless me, Brendan. Bless me, Brendan, for I have sinned. I watched The Well 4 times. You're sick. You're sick.
RTD, it's a sin. There you go.
Oh, fuck.
Anyway, good news. Ryan, you liked good news. It's
Oh.
Doctor Who's number 9 in Australia.
Yeah, but sure, nothing happens in Australia.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, Australia. Yeah, 26 million over there, but not many use the Disney platform, so we're only talking dribs and drabs of thousands here.
Yeah, like Australia is a country of it's more just landmass more than people.
Yeah, 26.6. So yeah, but I'm trying to be fair. But thanks to Brian, from my neck of the woods and Sean's, he sent this to us, and fair dues.
Brendan, our
on.
neck of the woods. Newcastle's not our neck of the woods. Thank you, Brian, sincerely, but he's not.
He was.
Not
I
really.
mean, and what's really good is this did come in third, and I think there's a lot of points to make here as examples. £20 million to make per series of Beyond Paradise. Combined viewers of over 18 million, sold in 240 countries. Doctor Who, big brand, over 60% drop since 2005. What would the BBC conclude? Make more of that show? And they have, haven't they? They've been making different versions. Never mind our Sea Devils spin-off. They've been doing Beyond Paradise and blah, blah, and different versions of it. And I have to say, something is in the water that tells us he's not got the brand right. If you like that program, just make lots of spin-offs of it, and the BBC are reaping the reward. If people like Doctor Who, make Doctor Who. Don't make a different version of it That's where RTD's gone wrong.
sure.
So
won't
there
be
you go.
watching anything else. I watch Doctor Who. I wouldn't be watching anything else. So misplay.
So here we go. My last wrap up of the ratings before we move on to the episode, The Well, which you can see they're in good form tonight. I won't be able to hold them back. They'll need baby rains. That's what they'll need. So Doctor Who, this was my assessment. Doctor Who has lost 744,000 viewers since Space Babies in 1 year. That has to be bad. Has to be.
Definitely not good.
No, that's nearly 30% of the whole audience they had. Now, I'll show you this. I made it for my stream the other day, but you can take everything from this, so many different things. So you can see all the overnights, all the consolidated, the audience appreciation figures, the tracking of it, and you can see that if anybody wants to say to me things are going well, I would say, state me the bit of evidence that says that. I've been fair and shown in the green bits when it ever goes up. And as you see, that's more rare than it going down. So, you know, the facts are the facts. But you can see that is worrying. And so when you look at this, I know somebody made this the other day. It's outstanding. These are all 15 seasons of New Who. And you can track from the beginning of Chris Eccleston to where we are with Lux. And if you have a good look at that line graph, you can see the line it's gone down a lot.
Yeah.
It's just walked off a cliff.
Yep. And I'll just zoom in a little bit more since the 50th. So you can see there, when we had Day of the Doctor, clearly that was popular and had great hype, and it delivered to just about. So you've got that peak. And given the peak when we got Jodie Whittaker, as everybody had a nosy, you can do your line graph from beginning to end, and it is quite dramatically down.
Yeah, it was actually really healthy as like a bar graph before this point. And that high point of season 11 is about where we were at the beginning with Eccleston at season 9, from what I saw in the graph. So it's just proof that everything after this was a downward spiral.
What would you put it down to, Ryan, when you see this graph? This is a lot of money spent on a program over a lot of years. You know,
I've said it loads of times before on here. And let's say I have this conversation now weekly with people. Let's face facts. As much as I love the Capaldi era, the show has been on a downward spiral since then. Like every subsequent season it has went on since.
It's all right. Keep going.
You know what? Doctor Who, as I've said many times, I'm sure people are sick of me saying it, Doctor Who does not need nerds like us watching it right now. It needs the public, the general public, to be excited for it again, to be watching it weekly again. Back, during Tennant's era, it was one of the biggest shows in the country. Let's face it, everybody knew what Doctor Who was. Everybody actually seemed to give a damn about what Doctor Who was. Nobody gives a shit about what Doctor Who is now in the general consensus of things.
Yep. I mean, Domgo, I appreciate some people say, oh God, like Paul Mabley said, bloody spreadsheets, and Domgo's going, I wish I learned to count and could understand this section. I know you're being ironic. But if you take that point of Day of the Doctor, the very first one, and that was a high
what happened?
That was a high peak, and follow yourself down. We have lost, I mean, dramatically. If I show you the figures, we have lost, I think it's about 7 to 8 million, because that top figure is over 10 million. And as you know, we're now cruising well below that. So I just wanted to show you that because it is quite dramatic. And obviously, Sean, you haven't had any input yet because you've been out and about. But what do you reckon to that graph, as in what it tells us and why?
Well, if that was a patient, it wouldn't be going very well, would it? I mean, the strange thing is when you look back and you look at some of the other eras, like, they've dropped off, but they were generally kind of holding, even Whitaker's era. Yeah, it was a little, it was low. It started high, false high, but it kind of, it was holding steady around high fours, mid 5 million a week. It was holding quite steady, to be fair. It dropped a little bit towards the end, but it's just absolutely gone off a cliff. I think when you think back to Doctor Who and its relevance, that's the problem now. It's not relevant. Like Ryan said, no one gives a damn. No one knows it's on. You mention this in the office now or at work or wherever you are, and people don't have a clue. The young people don't have a clue. They don't even know it's on. They don't know what it is. And, the like I said, you've lost the families, you've lost the grandparents, you've lost just that general audience. That's the people at work. Like Ryan said, they're not the nerds. They're not. I'm only watching. I'd love to know how many people are just watching it for streams, or so they can watch people like Disparu or Nerdrotic or Heel versus Babyface or Sensesphere or, I'd love to see how many people are only watching it.
Put me in the same bracket as them.
Put it this way, right? And this is always a very good analogy. I always sort of tend to go back to. I started first year in high school in 2005 whenever Doctor Who came back, right? And I remember sitting in school in first year, and I've still got it somewhere. I think I've found it's actually in a box next door. My little Doctor Who pen. I had a TARDIS one, I had a Dalek one, and you hit the thing, it would play the theme tune and do like all little things. And everybody took the piss clean out of me for it, right? The show just came out and I was like, oh, he's like a nerd, he's got Doctor Who pen, You know what? By the time it got to like third year, fourth year, all of a sudden everybody thinks Doctor Who's very cool in high school all of a sudden. And David Tennant is so hot and everybody wants to bang Billy Piper and Doctor Who is very cool. Oh, you're gonna watch on Saturday night and but that was the trait. Like it started like it did at one point, it actually kind of was cool to like Doctor Who. And then it sort of fell by the wayside again, but there we go.
Oh, well, I've never heard anybody in the kindergarten creche talk like that, but there you go.
If you were a teenager, whenever you were watching Doctor Who, whenever it came out in 2005, you want to see some of the photographs. Like, I'm not even joking. My mate had a wee fold-up Sony Ericsson silver phone. He was obsessed with Billy Piper. He had about 100 different photographs over on his phone.
No, I must admit, as everybody knows, when I was a teacher, the kids were talking about Doctor Who. At the end, they weren't. It's as simple as that.
I'll tell you what's interesting is I've been watching. I didn't rewatch The Well because I'm sane.
Twice.
I've been rewatching. Well, no, I wasn't gonna. I've been watching some of Series 5. The new Who Series 5. The 11th hour. I watched the Pandorica opens and those. Oh my god! I watched The Lodger, which I have a soft spot for that. I think The Lodger is a good episode. You watch those and you're like, oh my god, this show is absolutely it's not even in the toilet. It's not even in the U-bend. It's in the sewers. It's absolutely finished. Like, you don't realize. I think with that used to watching this in context of like, oh, well, The Well was okay. And, Lux was okay. And I thought, and you're like, no, you honestly go away from this era. Go before Jodie. Go before most of Capaldi. Sorry, but most of that run was rubbish. It's
all
unbelievable.
Of that run
you don't realize.
Well,
was that perfect?
We
spoke about that before. Well, like I think whenever Matt Smith took over, I think the thing that saved the show was the fact is all of a sudden it got a massive American fan base all of a sudden. But sure, the BBC were going to cancel it after Tennant, and then they decided to plow on. Then it was popular in America all of a sudden, and that's what sort of has carried it on for a while. But as we've said before,
I don't think they were going to cancel it.
Well, I think they were thinking. There was.
I think they were worried. I think they were more worried by people who probably didn't understand it, like the big tops of the BBC that don't seem to have any touch with reality. That they were worried it might not work with RTD gone, with Tennant gone, because Tennant and ahed. When you read, I don't know what that was in, but Tennant almost stays on for Series 5. He actually talks to what's his face, Moffat about it. So I think they were worried that it might not like, you know, it might not be able to continue because, like, obviously how successful it was. You forget, like, also, I mean, I know we don't really mention it much, and sorry if I've missed you mention it on another stream, Brendan, but there was side series as well. So Torchwood starts in 2006. The Sarah Jane Adventures, which was strangely more adult than we're getting now, that started. You know, you had this whole like world. That's what I don't understand. Oh, we're going to build a Hootverse. We want to break the world. You did it 10 years ago.
Yeah.
We got about.
Well,
Sorry, go on.
you know, Sean, you know, we've had complaints on this channel that you waffle. so this is your yellow card.
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
I actually have to agree. Like, I think a lot of people, like, I'm not a Tenant fanboy, but I think a lot of people do forget sort of that sort of 2006 to 2010, how massive this show was. Like, it was a cultural phenomenon again. It was basically as popular as it would have been if it came out in the 60s, and we had multiple spin-off shows. There was merchandise everywhere. It really was everywhere for the span of 4 years.
Well, here we go. We cannot delay it. I talk about when I have classes like this and they don't want to start. You can see that they're on top form. So I'm sure you're dying to see what their opinions are on the well, being the chosen audience of RTD, his under 35. So I'm going to get straight into it. But we always start, as you know, with our what the F. So here we go. Okay, so straight in there. You've all heard me twice talk about this, so it won't be me first talking about it, but we'll get straight in on what the F. So, first up on the run, let's have a look. Ryan, anything in that episode that... Now, remember, what the F can be something awesome or something not so awesome, you know.
Well,
over to you.
I know what, I got one perfect right off the bat. The thing that pissed me off right from the get-go, and it's what my main thing... And I haven't heard anybody, maybe I'm wrong, maybe you guys spoke about it the other night. The spacesuits. How did they know they were going to have those spacesuits? And that was, I literally was watching it at the time. And I turned around and said there, I was like, how did they know he was going to... that annoyed me. But maybe I shouldn't get caught up on things like that. Maybe I should just switch my brain off and not think about things. But there we go.
Hey, Ryan, I can help you out a bit further. When they walked out, they also had enough space helmets for them as well.
Like they just
they just randomly extra space helmets, perfect amount for two extra people that they didn't know were going to be
they replaced.
No, it's all nonsense.
No,
we know
on
that.
Unleashed, they showed you this. They were trained to the other actors to be very military in how they're prepared for the acting, and then the script has two people just appear and are not challenged in that first bit. But because you're all under 35s, is it that RTD is sussed that, well, I found that a pain in the neck, and so did John Daly on our Sunday show, that the younger ones in the audience seem to think we don't need those kind of complications. Just get on with the plot. Who cares that the TARDIS suddenly has a good costume arrangement? You sound bothered. I didn't think you would be.
I think maybe Russell seems to think he's writing for the TikTok generation, but people who are still actually watching this show, surprisingly, still pay attention to what's going on in the program.
Now, Ryan, you have fans in the John Daly house. Absolutely love you being on my show, and I appreciate you being on, as I do all of you. But you'd have particular fans. They love that you and the Northern Irish bit coming in. What did you think before we go any further? Because John Daly was going off his rocker about that dialogue in the TARDIS. Your man will whistle at my behind, the Doctor said to Belinda.
No comment. I hate it. You know what? The first 4 minutes of that episode, I really didn't like.
Yeah. I hate it when they do that poppy music and nonsense, and you think, oh, it's light, it's nonsense. Sean, you want to come in? You're going to praise this for speed and concision to get on with the plot, aren't you?
No, no, it's rubbish. It was one of the things that really irritated me as well, because I'd watched the Sunday show and I get what some of the people were on about. I think it was Paul who was on about, and maybe other people that were on about, basically saying, look, the TARDIS has always come up with stuff like chameleon circuits, whatever. There's always been reasons, and in this Tuesday night stream, sometimes I've said we're nitpicking, we're being a bit, we're seeing things that aren't there, especially the Easter one.
Yeah, and I've
But
told
with
you to
this,
shut up.
it was just, well, there's no change in that, is there? Dear me. So I'm not going to have a very good parents' evening. So yeah, it's not. You watch it and you're like, okay, because at first I thought, okay, they're just putting on a random spacesuit, and it's not out of the realms of possibility that the TARDIS is kind of scanned and whatever, but it feels. It doesn't feel. Let's just cut the crap. It's lazy. It's lazy. And they only did it. They only put him in that costume. I mean, all the promotion was just showing Cutie's shooties behind, and then they have it in the episode where, I mean, can you imagine if Belinda had? You imagine if, Belinda had said, "Oh, he'd said to Belinda, come round my house. My dad will whistle at you behind." Then, oh my God, there'll be letters to the BBC left, right, and centre. It's like, it's just immature. It doesn't take itself seriously. Like, this was my biggest issue with this episode, that you can tell everyone's trying the hardest. Like, this is, I think, the best that they can do, and that's terrifying. Like,
could it be? Oh, sorry, Sean. Could it be possible? I have heard this, and I actually give it a bit of credibility. So Lee Smith is saying, I think Mrs. Flood provided the spacesuits. Now, just for a bit further, Mrs. Flood, if she is this god of storytelling, she has. She asked at the end, has he got the Vindicator? Good. It's as if every plot device she's in charge of, maybe the spacesuits, Mavity and everything, she's just fiddling with it. I mean, people have said the Rani and all the rest of it. Sounds more like the meddling monk to me, but unfortunately there's a gender issue there. What do you think, Sean, on that one? That actually, if we're moaning about this sort of stuff, RTD might have some genius play out here.
Well, we all thought this during season, they call it season, during season 1. We all thought this, that we were fed this, we were spoon fed this. We were, we were gaslit with this before about I can't remember her bloody name, Ruby Sunday, about how important she was, and then it turned out she was named by pointing at a bloody road sign. So, you really can't, you really can't put any stock in anything that you get from this. It's gonna be, it'll be the same as the Sutek reveal. Like, nobody cares. Like, it's just ridiculous. If it is a classic, and as I said, I'm not very up with Classic Who. Yeah, I'm getting there. It'll only ruin it for the new people like me who probably just watch New Who. Will be like, who the hell's this? And this is stupid. And the people who've watched Classic Who are going to be going, oh great, you've ruined another one. It's going to be, and I don't really care. I don't care who she is. I think that's the problem. I'm so apathetic now. I mean, obviously, I've still got
garbage.
Passion, but I just don't care.
Well, garbage. You see, I said I'm proud to be the streamer that knows nothing, knows nobody, doesn't network, hasn't got a clue. There you go. Mrs. Flood will be the Rani. I have been told by a person with sources, the tea lady, who have come up correct in the past. Not 100% guaranteed, but it could be true. I do actually think if I bet on it, I'd probably guess it would be. Go on, Ryan.
I was going to just say, though, the whole Rani thing, I think basically every single streamer in the country talking about Doctor Who at the minute is literally all saying it's a Rani.
Yeah.
Yet again, I had that conversation yesterday, and I was like, and they think it's going to be the Rani, and I'm like, you know what? It would be the most lazy thing you could possibly do, and the most predictable thing that Russell T Davies could do. But it's very possible, yes, it will be the Rani, but it would be very predictable.
Yeah. Go on, Sonny.
Have you seen Lux? He said it would be the most predictable thing RTD can do. Have you seen Lux? That was basic Doctor Who through and through is all I got to say.
Yeah.
On the what the F, my problem with the episode and why I rated a 0 out of 10 even today is because it's so boring. There is no exciting moment or meaningful moment anywhere in this episode, in my opinion. The only thing I understand is since the Doctor landed on this planet, everything is worse now. Yeah. If he would have never landed, some people would have died. Maybe all of them, maybe. But because he landed, the creature escaped for sure. And that's what Russell told us. So it's such a nothing burger of an episode, and it's actively bad to the plot. I think the Mrs. Flood is the best part of the show so far for me. She's an interesting
What?
character, and if she is actually manipulating all this stuff, hey, out of the characters I've seen, she's an interesting character. Melinda, the doctor,
Yeah, but that's like
the
saying
cure, the projectionist. Who am I supposed to root for in
that's
this
like
show?
no,
Who you want me to root for?
saying Mrs. Flood's the best of a bad bunch is like saying it's the freshest turd on your front garden that the neighbor's dog's dropped. It's not
What's your
a
point?
good
You still
thing.
gotta pick one. If somebody told you to pick a fresh turd off the yard, you still gotta pick one.
You hear the space
I know, I'm
babies
not
again?
doing
I'm going to have to call this program Space Babies. So we're talking about turds now. Here we go. No, but let me just remind us, Sunny is 26. And so as an example, it's not pitching very well, this RTD script, with the audience he's supposed to be aiming at. It's mad. But anyway, he said it's the sequel, that nobody expected.
Even though it was leaked weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's the sequel
I didn't
nobody
want...
wanted. Nobody
Yeah,
wanted. You got it right. Wanted Russell.
I didn't.
Clown.
I liked Midnight. I could see it was a one-off because it was a bottle episode. End of it. Well done. Bye bye. Off we go. I don't know why he's decided to bring it back, but maybe he's got some genius. But did you all notice this? But this is one of my what the F's that got worse as the week went on, which is they were going on about be 180 degrees. Don't have your back to, don't turn your back, go behind him, and don't do this and don't do that. The monster will kill you. And look at all these people around me, says Alice. They're all dead because blah, 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 all that stuff. And they drew a diagram on Unleashed and they had models and they were really proud of it. But actually, there was a moment, I'm sure you noticed it, it clearly had to be a plot hole, where basically one of the soldiers, as they turned, they were behind the monster because they were directly behind and nothing happened. And, it was it's a clever idea until you see a massive inconsistency later on when they were all moving and the doctor and others weren't flying around.
It never made sense to me in the beginning because the monster or the entity, I call it the entity, it attaches itself to people through auditory cues. So like, what does it have to look at anything? You can't even see it anyway. So when he made the reflection thing, I was so confused. And then I watched a Cope video explaining the scene to me, and I was still confused. I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me.
When the Cope start explaining things, it's like, my God, you need a degree in nonsense, Sean.
Yeah, it was a strange set of events. Like they'd started to go down that. Sorry, my microphone's falling over. They started going for the fact it was all about auditory, and that's why the character was deaf, and it kind of, well, not why she was deaf, but it made sense. Then they just abandoned it for this whole, if you go behind them thing. And it just lost itself, and you couldn't get any sense of what that creature was supposed to be. Because I don't buy it was the same thing from Midnight. Although, it's 400,000 years on or whatever MacGuffin they came up with. It just wasn't engaging. Like Sonny said, and I agree totally, like he's just said, and he said on Sunday, it was boring. It was, and then everyone's banging about how good it is, and you're like, are you what? What have you just watched?
Yes.
That's the hypnosis, because it was a deep tone. The tone of the episode was great, even fine. I think it's fine, but I'll concede it's great. It's just the hypnosis. But I'll push back. There's a cope for the entity being able to just take control of people. After 400,000 years, some evolution gotta take place. And he had the experience the first time with the doctor, right? So like, he was defeated once before. He took that into account. He evolved. I concede on that, but that doesn't help the plot. It's still boring.
I agree with you that you can't, if you're gonna do a sequel that doesn't need to be done with an entity that was never seen and never explained. We got no details about it in Midnight because it was just a one-off episode.
Right.
But to do it again, you have to develop the monster, otherwise it's boring. And so I suppose that came into in the equation. John Yulden, you've been a lovely chap tonight. Thank you very much. The RTD narrative makes no sense if it's the Rani. The Rani was always an unethical scientist and Mrs. Flood is not. I know, but RTD.
It all right.
RTD should have known about Sutek, and oh god.
The thing is, as well, though, are they, because yet again they were gaslighting us with the whole Susan thing last year? Is it going to be Susan? Yet again, if it's Susan, that is, well, it's pretty effed up if you ask me. That would be my big what the F. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for that, John. There are super chats available for our puppets to, in their Brisbane sweatshop. I pay them very low wages. They're on the switchboard. They're manning the phones now for all the super chats flying in. I'm hearing there's loads of super chats. Let me just check again. Yep. Let's have a look. Yep. Maybe not this week. So
the way that the skeleton's lying on that pillow makes it look like he's flashing, like he's opened up his Mac. If you look at it, see what I mean?
And the shooty doctor, I should put a tear on him because he knows he might be disappearing at the end of the series, and we'll put him in the bin. But oh dear. But what the F? Look, if you saw our Sunday stream, I'm recruiting for me, Paul, and John had a right stoush about this. At the end, 3 people got into that pod, and the script showed you 4 people were in the pod. So why would the script say that? And then you saw the moment when the other female trooper kind of looked as though there was something behind her, and I inferred that the entity had escaped. What did you find out, Ryan?
Possibly that there's more than one.
Yes.
That's all I've got to say about it.
I think it is very possible that the Shayla, I think, the commander, when she ran and killed herself very like Alien, Ripley, that she actually had one on her back. And it's split. I've heard people talk about bi-generations and stuff like that. Sean, where do you come on this? Are you on my side or Paul's?
I think, and I wrote this down while I watched the episode the first time and I was listening on Sunday, that I think we're putting more thought into this than the writers did, frankly. I mean, I wrote down a big nothing for this episode. It was a big nothing. There was nothing in it. It's slow, kind of boring. It felt like a bottle episode, but not by necessity, like with Midnight, where they needed to have companions and it was about cost and stuff like that. A bit how we got Blink. This was by design. And then chat about it, don't chat about it. Rachel called it by saying, "Oh, I think before we even knew, I think this might have been added in afterwards about it being Midnight." And then RTD admitted it in the Unleashed or whatever it was called. Yeah. So. It's not like, and I get what Sonny was saying earlier. My last point, I promise. I get what Sonny was saying earlier about the creature having evolved from Midnight. Now, if it had been, if this was thought about from the very beginning as a Midnight sequel, I'd have more truck with that. I'd accept that more. I'd be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But they didn't start off from that, so I just think they've retrofitted it in.
Agreed.
Yeah,
you're right. It's complete headcanon, but it's easy headcanon, very acceptable headcanon, in my opinion.
Oh, we've all got coping techniques. We've all got coping techniques, Sonny. We've all got.
The thing is, it seems to me, I think RTD is trying to survive. Each episode has a minimal story. It might be well directed. I thought the looks to a point, as we all agree before the breaking the fourth wall. And this one looked sci-fi-ish. Do you know what I mean? It had an element of it. Minimal-ish stories. As you said, me and Jamie got bored at one point in this one. I got sick of this, it's behind you and don't go behind it. And in the end, you think, I want a bit more. However, what I'm trying to say here is RTD is relying too much on the reveal or the extra scene at the end, or the twist in this case, because the story itself doesn't have any impact. And so he has to have something to grab onto, because other than that, it's just to me, it's a very, very average sci-fi episode. But the end bit, you might go, oh, that might be important. So all this wasn't. And that's, I think he's relying too much on Mrs. Flood at the end, or did the entity get away? Go on, Sean.
The best character?
Yeah, no,
Yes.
I said earlier I was sorry. Did I interrupt you, Sonny? There, sorry, mate.
You did.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, I get this. Like, I get what RTD's trying to do, but it's not organic with trying to drip in this Mrs. Flood. It's like, obviously, I was watching series 5 earlier, and the crack in the wall, which I still think is probably the best running kind of mystery that we got in a series, because it was there, but it wasn't the main focus of it. And like you said before, Brendan, in your last point there, like, the problem with these series now is it's sort of inoffensive and bland. The only thing to get annoyed about is the overt political leanings. That's all there is to hang your hat on, because without that, it's very boring, bland, and there's just, when there's nothing. And even when, like Lux, they have a little gem of a good idea and they have 30 minutes of a really good episode, well, a decent episode, they ruin it. So I can't, it's difficult to get, this is just something you have to get through. It's like, it's just another day at work. You just have to grit your teeth and get through it.
Well, this happens too much, I think, Ryan. The RTD, I thought the Wild Blue Yonder, I mean, it was a special. It was so unspecial. Wild Blue Yonder, to me, is the big wild blue chasm. There was nothing really happened in it apart from a very slow robot and creatures you couldn't see until they did that weird effect with the large limbs. And I think he wrote that episode only to do the fantasy setup with the salt. That was it. He just needed an excuse of an episode. And I think this is what we got in this episode, because as Julie Coonan says here, it was confusing. I do think they escaped, which made the whole episode a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I liked it.
I know.
Well, tell
yeah.
us. Well, tell us why then, because this is the whole point. It's your show. It's your review.
I say I liked it. I didn't love it. I would say it's the only story so far. Maybe Lux. It's the only story so far I'd be happy to go back and watch again out of Shooty's run.
Would you? I've watched it twice now. I need a gap. I saw Robot Revolution 3 times, and I think I saw Lux 3 times. Funny enough, this was the most sci-fi one of the 3 in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would have pushed certain things a bit further. Like, don't get me wrong, like, this episode definitely does have its faults. Like, they could, like, somebody actually mentioned it, in the comments about the Vashta Narada. This could have been
yes,
a Vashta Narada story. It could have been very much a number of different monsters in this thing. But then there's moments like what you've just pointed out right here, right now. So imagine for the last season and a bit, we had not seen Shooty Gatwa's doctor break down or cry whatsoever. And then all of a sudden, in this moment, he actually does have a full-on breakdown, realizing it's the same entity all over again. That would have been so much more impactful, so much more like, oh shit, actually, this is a real threat. But because we've seen him cry literally every single episode before, it didn't have any weight to it, I wish they just would have pushed certain things further. But I mean, it's the best of the worst, in my opinion.
Now, as Sean comes in, you see, I have just finished watching Pyramids of Mars. They are acting choices to take here. And on what Ryan's just said there is right. Tom Baker decided that when he had to go down that time vortex to meet Sutek to distract him, and then the pyramid rocket blew up after he broke his concentration, he faced the full force of Sutek, and he knew he was possibly going to his death. And Sutek tortured him and said, I can, that amazing speech, I could play with you, you are a termite, and all the rest of it. And the doctor, as in Tom Baker, decided his acting choice would not be to cry or anything. He just did some amazing acting. It's very hard to imagine you're up against a god and you're being tortured. But, Tom Baker really went for it and looked as though he was in agony. When we see this doctor, there's no acting with the tear. The tear's doing the acting, and his face just goes, I'll keep staring and hope this looks good enough. To me, anyway. Sean?
Yeah, and the thing is, and it's felt too often like this, that these first series of RTD's Return have been, they're recycled. Everything feels recycled. There's nothing new. Like,
Yeah.
whether you liked his first one or not, he at least tried to do original things. They crowbarred the crying in, absolutely crowbarred it in this week, and that's saying something, given he cries every bloody week. Oh, it knows my name. It felt like when River Song says the doctor's name into his ear, and that. And the problem is, it then it reminds you, and they even showed a clip of Tennant back when he played the 10th Doctor, and he was fantastic in that episode. And it's not good because Shooty's not good enough anyway. So you can't start giving him things that he can't do. The darkness, he just doesn't. He's miscast, really badly miscast. Not only are they writing the character badly, he's really badly miscast as well.
Sean's wrong.
No, that's something that really did
He's
stand
wrong,
out for me as well. Though, I actually really liked Belinda in this episode, but then by the end of it, I was very much still like, I am still not buying Shooty as the Doctor. It just, if he didn't pull me in after that episode, I don't think he ever will.
I think I realized he's the biggest problem for me. Because I remember when I watched Boom for the first time, and the first couple of minutes of that, I was like, oh my God, this sounds like Doctor Who. It looks like Doctor Who. It's written. It felt like a real Moffat story. It felt like a throwback to how we used to do it. And then the TARDIS lands, and ta-da! Out comes Shooty, and I was like, oh, my heart sank, and I thought, you're the problem for me.
Right. Well, Sonny, everybody's enjoying. I hope everybody's enjoying it. I'm quite entertained tonight, and I do love this panel. But Sonny, you seem quite shocked by what you're hearing.
Dude, they're saying a bunch of nonsense. Belinda was good in this episode. Gatwa, the problem is Gatwa can't act, period, right? I knew that from the beginning. I didn't watch season 1. His acting is gay. When he's being gay, that's him acting. That's his personality type. And then he cries to show emotion. The scene though, where the cosmic entity or the entity, he goes like he knows his name and he whispers the name to him. That was actually kind of cool. It was the best scene you probably were going to get out of Gatwa and this episode, because it showed the entity was a real threat. It's a cosmic entity. Nobody knows that except for the person he tells, right? And this is a cosmic thing. So it's like it shows the entity's a real force of nature. That's the only scary thing the entity has done besides killing our cannon fodder. But the season's upside down. This would have been a good season 1, episode 1 or 2, right?
Get out your ladders, mate, because that's a reach. That is a reach. Like, it's such a nothing
Where's
moment.
the reach?
It's such a nothing moment. There's nothing there.
It's not a nothing moment. That's
the
only thing RTD wrote. That's the only thing he can write. He wrote.
And is it ever thus? So there you go. RTD's chosen ones. They can't agree with each other. Us dinosaurs, we know we're right. The death of Shayla. Obviously, I mentioned this, and I know a lot of people got it. Alien 3. And yet, but the Ripley death seemed to be more kind of substantial because she did kill the alien because she went into that furnace. Whereas in this case, she wasted her time, and I thought that was, what the F, what a shame. We had people going mad about the BSL as well. We had people going mad about Sharma's script, as Rachel said on Sunday, as she'd done much in it, because seemed to be more of RTD's ideas. I mean, her idea is, I'd love to write a Doctor Who story set in the 1960s. Doctor Who started in the 1960s. Hello. So, I had so many what the F's I couldn't cope with it. The sign language that has to be in law for nurses. I mean,
do you know what would have been a better line for that? Would have been a better line, which would have done the same thing. Would be to say, "Oh, you don't know sign language. We learn that in primary school. We learn that when we're 5." Because they do teach it in some primary schools. I do think it needs to be taught in schools because it's useful. But
yeah,
sorry, go on. Yeah.
Sorry, no, sorry. I was just coming in on what you're saying and adding to it. A lot of people have said online and have been saying, but this is 500,000 years in the future. If you've got technology that does a kind of subtitles on a hologram thing, surely they can put something in your brain or they can have a contraption to help those with hearing impairments. And you don't have to do sign language at all.
I think it's a few years back they would have had even in the old the all of Doctor Who before this, they would have had the guts to have the companion, because Donna used to do it all the time. She used to question things because it's not normal to somebody from 21st century Britain. So you could have had the companion saying something like, "Why do they Doctor? Why do they still use sign language when you've got these machines?" And you could, because I can imagine the 10th Doctor going, "Well, you love tradition." You can see it would work, but the problem is it's not very well written, and nothing seems to be thought out. They just seem to they wanted that actress in it, and they could have done a lot more if they'd made the creature audible, or I don't know, vibrations, and only she can sense it, or
It was laughing.
there was just nothing.
I know what you're saying. I appreciate that. We're still on the what the F. It just shows you that some weeks I never realize, oh my God. Can I just show from the giggle the galvanic beam that actually, as you know, sliced David Tennant's 14th Doctor into two, basically, and then the bi-generation started. We had galvanic radiation in this episode. And my theory that I just threw up in the air the other day was that this Mrs. Flood, who's obviously seems to be in charge of an awful lot of stuff, last week he used his last remnants of bi-generation energy to defeat Lux. This week, galvanic radiation that links with his bi-generation. I just think by the end of the series, he's used all his extra bits and bobs. It's as if it's all coming together. I don't know. That's my strange little half theory.
The bi-generation has to come into play, in my opinion, because I do subscribe to the fact that the entity also split off, because they were convinced it was on the leader, right? So, okay, sure. But it definitely escaped. So I don't know how you can't argue that. Like, it definitely escaped. So the bi-generation link to the galvanic energy makes sense to me. So I like that is going to play into the end of the series.
Yeah. And just before, I do think the Rose Aileen Ellis played the part well. And a lot of people in the thread are saying that. And while we hit our niggles and that, because obviously that's what fans do, we talk about the bits that bother us. I like the set. I like the direction. I thought the actress, she made that vulnerability was the key to this. The bit I didn't like, and it's got nothing to do with her, is she was vulnerable. The Doctor seemed to bond with her, and therefore there was a chain of events set up when he ignored the commander. So the commander ends up doing a sacrifice of her life. She doesn't have kids. She didn't mention them or anything. So who cares? Oh, I've got a 2-year-old. Please help me. And it's like, sorry, war is difficult situations, sometimes collateral damage. Sorry, love. The Doctor, by bonding with her, compromised the whole mission.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like that. It doesn't make any sense, because having just watched Pyramids of Mars, the Doctor does not allow one person and their life to trump the existence of everybody else. He actually makes that point. So this kind of does it in reverse. It's like, RTD, make sense, please. And of course, what the F? It's for your generation. A bit of Britney Spears, you're toxic. But since then, a few people have said, was it deliberate that toxic is a hint that Belinda and Doctor's relationship is not as healthy as it's going to be the problem? Toxic.
No,
I just can't believe they reused it again.
Yeah, I was surprised by that.
Did they reuse it for Belinda? No, it was from the last series.
It was from End of the World, and it played
season 1,
which is the second episode of Eccleston's
yeah,
run.
2005.
Like a bad episode. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was an amazing moment in a way, because you saw CGI of a whole space station, And as you saw, little shuttlecraft going and everything, and you realize this is Doctor Who because they've got effects nowadays. And then suddenly they played Britney Spears, and you thought, oh God, they've got money to pay for that. See, I think it was a show of intent.
I thought it was a reference to the planet itself was also a toxic planet.
Well, as Ryan said, why is it getting used twice? Because that's a bit of a funny one, that. There must be a reason that we're not aware of yet. So, the story itself, lads. Now, Ryan, you liked it. What did you like about the story?
Give me a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a minute.
You're going to be thinking, buddy.
He did say he liked it. I was quoting him, wasn't I, folks? I mean,
I did.
A lot of people said this. I heard a lot of people said this on the different streams and videos I watched. Nobody could give me a good scene. One good scene.
I thought the moment when everyone goes about a Doctor defining moment. That there was a moment when the Doctor said, "Get behind me," and you think, well, that's Doctor-ish.
I would have gave it to you if it got behind him. If the entity actually latched onto him, I would have been like, "Good job, Gatwa. W for Gatwa." I like that scene, but no, he didn't take a bullet for nobody because he's a coward. He's a bum.
Now, Mr. Squinty Mint is joining our back row of troublemakers. I'm getting a very bad back row. So,
welcome to the class, Mr. Squinty Mint.
Yeah, what's Brendan talking about? Well, I'm only the teacher. The Doctor frequently makes mistakes and endangers people because he's trying to save individuals. Get over it, Brendan. So, yeah, the back row of trouble now. Of course, you're right, Squinty Mint, but I didn't say that, and you can't do a sound bite. What I said then didn't exist. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
I'll tell you what, I liked the fact is right from the off, even though I didn't exactly like, you know what I felt like actually? In the old days, I say the old days, like they're the old days, even back 10 years ago, this actually would have worked very well as a two-parter.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was going to.
I actually, as soon as it started up, I knew obviously going into it was a sequel to Midnight, but the first sort of 5 to 10 minutes actually reminded me more of Satan Pit, which is actually one of my favorite. I adore that two-parter. Yeah. But I think if this would have worked far better as a two-parter. It actually could have fleshed a lot of things out. But I do like the fact we are more or less thrown into the action right off the bat. I do like the fact as well, like whenever they're going around the station, we're seeing quite distressing images of bodies and legs sticking out, and sort of like, oh, they actually went fair enough. I like things like that in Doctor Who. It definitely was a little bit of a tense build-up, which I quite enjoyed. I actually felt like I was watching the Doctor Who for once.
Well, Ryan's Russell Davies obviously talked about the deaths and the corpses and everything, so I'll come back to you. As Paul Clifton says here and puts it in a slightly different way, RTD on Unleashed, casually discussing how far they're dead to graphically portray the multiple deaths in the well, while simultaneously zealously pushing various sexual jokes and LGBT propaganda and stuff to... he talked about 6-year-olds, didn't he? But I thought he's still been Mary Whitehouse, Ryan. It's like, it's too tame.
Also, that's what I was saying earlier on, though. I would have liked them to have took things a lot further in certain aspects. But unfortunately, this is Doctor Who in 2025. I think if this would have been made in 2006, 2007, it would have been very, very different. But
yeah, well, Sean's going to come in, so he'll unmute himself. But a good girl says, "I like the overall tone and entrance into the facility. Yeah, stumbling on the dead bodies, bit arc and space. Well, Revenge of the Cybermen, and hinting at the broken mirrors, but it quickly fell flat after that. And a few others there, just as I bring in Garbage. Another good scene when Belinda was helping Alice, and Alice's eyes were all over the place. There were touches. I agree. And I agree with Ryan that this could have easily... In fact, sometimes RTD is onto half an idea. And if you're going to spend time on it, develop it, milk it, get a cliffhanger, two-parter. The trouble is, and I will come into Sean here, don't worry, but Ryan, when you mentioned the Satan Pit,
Beg your pardon.
Yeah, the one thing about the Satan Pit is the Impossible Planet was the better of the two parts. It was a brilliant first part, and I don't think it delivers in the second part. That's the problem.
Well, the
with
thing is,
RTD.
but yet again, that there is the RTD trademark.
Yeah.
The guy can't do. He doesn't like endings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he cannot do good endings. He's kind of known for
Oh.
that. So,
Well, he's going to hate the end of this year then if it's an open regeneration.
the only one I can say, honest to God, the only finale of his I can go, okay, you know what? That was
Hang on.
Oh.
Sorry, no, we're getting this wrong here. The Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit were not written by RTD. They were written by Matt Jones.
True.
So they weren't written
very
by
true.
RTD.
Very true. But obviously,
But you're right. You're right, though.
But that's it. It's sort of, I was getting that flavor, is what I was saying, coming into this story. It was that kind of flavor I was getting, and then, well, it's nowhere near as good, obviously. But the only sort of finale or ending I'm really happy that Russell done was series 1. I don't think it ever got any better than that.
Horus, I won't say this publicly on the stream, but you know what you're saying there. That reference was in the church on Ruby Road at the very beginning with that young police officer. There was a moment when the snowball fell and the doctor was in, there was that moment. Yeah. I still don't understand too much of the reference, and I'm not going there. But the trouble is, RTD does, and he's bothered about the 6-year-olds. And when me and Rachel, I've done our walk show, and we've looked at Juno Dawson's material for kids in schools, also gets it completely inappropriate and goes too detailed, too sexual, too ironic sexually when you assume too much that the kids know stuff. And RTD's on the same planet as Juno Dawson. And you think, look, it's sci-fi adventure. We don't need to bring it down to bedrooms and what people do. Go away. Stop it. So let's have a look a bit further into this. So I think, there you go. Sean, story. Were you happy with the story in part or whole or not at all?
Well, I need to come back. I'll answer this as eloquently as I can. To come back to what Ryan was saying about the Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit, it's a good comparison because in the way that the music makes the Impossible Planet's the better one, but makes that two-parter, the music's incredible. The scene with Scooty Minister where they find her and she's kind of floating towards the black hole. The way all the characters are really well written, there's not too many of them. I wrote down when I was watching that the music does a lot of the heavy lifting. The music's trying to tell you how to feel, but it doesn't match what you're watching. So, and the problem is you just sat there waiting for the sucker punch. And again, I don't know if anybody else felt this, and sorry if we're jumping to this later or you didn't want it in, but for a program that's meant to be about being, because they keep saying, don't they, it's about being kind and mental health and having a more emotional doctor and all that kind of thing. The program comes across as spiteful, cynical. It doesn't come across like the humans. Look at that scene in The Impossible Planet where the doctor hugs, is it Zachary Crossflake? Not Zachary Crossflake. The guy played by the fella out of The Mummy Returns, Izzy. I can't remember the guy's name. Where he says, stand there for a second because I'm going to hug you. And he says, human beings, you are amazing. Apart from that, you're absolutely mad. You should get in your rocket, get away and fly away. But why did you come here? Because it was there. The doctor, that's the reason why he spends so much time around Earth, rather than the fact that he obviously likes human beings because they look like Time Lords.
So, Sean,
but he cared about humans, didn't he? Loved them.
So, Sean, you've had lots of accusations thrown at you. So, what about this story as well? He's died.
Which story? Sorry, mate.
The one that we are reviewing.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, it wasn't. No, it's the music does all.
Yeah,
the music, you cheeky self. The music does all the heavy lifting. And like I said, like Sonny said, and as much as it pains me to agree with him, no, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's all Look, as Frankie Boyle once said, look at the shiny. It's all like distraction techniques to because who wants to rewatch this? I talk about this a lot on my podcast. Rewatchability. These don't have any.
So, Sean, before we move on to Sonny, on the story, Eye of Horus, your naughty compatriot on the back row, says, "Can we expect the Matrix to make a revisit at the end of the reality war and have the Doctor and the villain tumbling through a time vent, a bit like Robert Holmes was going to do, akin to the Reichenbach Falls with Sherlock Holmes?" Is this? The trial of a Time Lord was heading a certain way until, unfortunately, circumstances changed. A lot of fan fiction likes this sort of thing. I don't want us to serve fan fiction because it's too complex and too open. And I'm sick of the Matrix. I'll be quite frank. I thought Gallifrey was wrecked, and the Matrix, which was amazing in The Deadly Assassin, suddenly in Trial of a Time Lord, you just have to kick the feet of the keeper and you're in. And it's like this open door policy suddenly. It's like the English Channel. It's like there's dinghies coming everywhere and you can get into the Matrix for free. No passport needed. Topical reference there. Thank you. But, I don't know. Sean, should we...
Mate, you've been watching too much RTD. That was ham-fisted, that was really...
Years. Go on. Sorry. So, Sean, dead concise, should we let the Eyes of Horus off the naughty step and only you're left in? Because that was a nice statement from him, and you've not been useful yet.
You know what, Brendan? You're making too many enemies to start poking things at your friends, mate. So calm yourself down. But yeah, I think we'll let them. Sorry, there's a topical reference for you. Woo! No, yeah, we'll let Eye of Horus off the naughty step.
Off the naughty step, you go Eye of Horus, and Sean, for his final reference there, stays on it. So, Sonny, the story.
This is easily my least favorite Doctor Who story I have ever seen. It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with it being a sequel to Midnight. It has everything to do with the actors, the plot, the smoke and mirrors of the tone. I say Sean cares more about this episode than me because I'm indifferent about it. I think it's boring. It is so bad and boring. So I will never rewatch it. I know the people who said this was good will never rewatch it. And I was right the first time I watched this episode. This episode sucks. 0 out of 10. No, I did not watch Flux because it's a bad Doctor Who. I don't watch bad Doctor Who.
Yeah, you won't be saying this is the worst Doctor Who you've seen after you watched the Flux.
It's the worst Doctor Who I've seen. That's my opinion. That's what I said, and that fact is still true because I didn't watch Flux. It's a terrible episode.
Yeah,
don't watch it. Don't
recommend it. Timeless Children. Everybody in the thread, just tell us for a second. I mean, everyone has their opinion. Fair enough. I'm not going to change Sonny's, but if I'm thinking of the worst episode of Doctor Who that I've seen, it would have to be something like Timeless Children. What do you say, Ryan?
For the mere, oh my God, I can't believe they done that. Also, the Timeless Children. If there was anything I could completely retcon from Doctor Who, it would be that.
Yes, I wish I could erase that from my brain. I wish I had a counsellor that was good enough.
For me, it's got to be the Star Beast for me. That was where you thought, oh no, he hasn't come to save it.
But
oh dear, like that was such a crushing blow.
Well, Zero Room agrees with us. The Timeless Children really was that bad. And of course, we had an episode 3 where the companion gets shot, a bit like in Boom, hello, everything repeats. Okay, Utopia. This is nice and short and snappy, I think, because I think we'll have guessed. Utopia is when I ask the under 35s, is RTD delivering based on that episode? So, starting with Sonny, is RTD delivering?
Big old goose egg. I was mid on the Robot Revolution. I liked Lux for what it was because I like to laugh. It was funny. It had a lot of bad parts. This was terrible. If we get another episode like this, I'm a riot.
Oh, fight and talk, Ryan.
you know what? As much as I definitely thought it was better than what's came, compared to last year and so far this year, I do think, like, I liked episode 2 better than episode 1. I've liked episode 3 better than episode 2. So I'm not excited for next week, though, to be fair. But yet again, is it the best of a bad bunch? Even though I would I was having an okay time watching it, but if I had to pick between that and watching, well, actually, yeah,
Dot and Bubble.
that's in the Satan Pit 2-parter, like the rewatchability, I would go back and rewatch that at least once a year.
Ryan, Dot and Bubble or The Well?
The Well. I hate Dot and
Oh,
Bubble.
and
You're
look,
crazy. The doctor's not even in Dot and Bubble. It was so good until he showed up.
I've
hated it.
forgotten. Domgo, thank you. I said Timeless Children was the worst episode. Rogue. I did. I think, I don't know how many streams I did on Rogue. I went absolutely feral after Rogue.
You went rogue.
I don't want to watch that.
I lost it. I even had a gravestone for Doctor Who on one of my thumbnails. I mean, well remembered, Dom. Maybe the counseling's better than I thought, but they've focused on Timeless Children and and Rogue and not Timeless Children. Yeah, oh my God, yes. So, Sean, is RTD delivering based on that episode?
He's delivering, but only insofar as he's delivering flaming dog muck to your front porch.
Do you know what I think, is it topic of the, remember when you were in the primary school, topic of the week is you have a color table and everything. Ours seems to be poo.
It's very, it's very, it's very cack based, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's just,
like, I think personally,
you're just trying to get through it at
right.
this point, aren't you?
So let's do a few short and snappy ones here. So our homework item is normally what should RTD redraft or improve upon from that episode. Now, I'll give you a starter for 10 because Stephen Elmy, there he is, has given us some ideas. So I'll show you some, and then I'll ask all three of you, nice and concise to a degree, and the thread. What's the main thing you'd ask them to improve upon? Now, remember, if you're all trying to be good teachers, you don't say to the kid, you'd have to start from scratch, get a different color biro, get a different brain, and get a different, you need to give them a chance. So what is the main thing to improve upon? Now, Stephen Elmy, thank you very much for this. I mean, you can see all his bad bits, so I'll show you a few, and it might spark up your ideas. So he says, RTD making a sequel. Just don't do a sequel, please. Almost the entirety of the TARDIS scene. We've said that, haven't we? I mean, we were saying last year there haven't been many TARDIS scenes, but so far, I wish we hadn't. Shooty's Doctor and Belinda changing into exactly the right clothing. Why would super serious soldiers in the far future believe what's displayed on a piece of paper? Why did Shooty's Doctor slide the panel on his chest plate down, which is suddenly back up after the psychic paper has been believed? Shooty's Doctor takes his upper armor off because the look doesn't suit him. Shooty's Doctor removing Belinda's upper armor. The one dog tag Shooty's Doctor reads belongs to a non-white soldier. None of the soldiers are from Earth and aren't descended from humans, yet they all look like us. Belinda being really annoying in a dangerous situation. Alice doesn't cry, but Shooty and Belinda do. I mean, yeah, I know, honestly, I think I might say to him, listen, if you want reality, she hasn't seen her 2-year-old for a year. She's got some non-entity thing behind her and she's scared stiff and she's not crying, but you two are crying. Maybe the drama's all skew with here. Anyway, thank you, Stephen, for that. Ryan, one thing that you think he should improve upon in this episode?
Should have took it further with certain actually stick with one idea instead of having 3, 4, 5 different ideas. Forget about 2 or 3 of them halfway through the damn thing. Focus on one idea and make it a good one. Focus on the one good idea you have and just make that the episode.
And adding to your point then, do you also think it's part of the problem that he then chucks in Mrs. Flood at the end and other bits that it takes us off? I'm so many people are thinking about the Mrs. Flood bit and not the actual story.
The thing is, we've sort of had all of this since the show came back, like always running threads throughout the season, building up to something at the end of that season. Are we not beyond that now? Can we just not, just have a normal season and then just have a big build, like just have a big threat or something at the end? Doesn't even need to be, just have a good bloody story at the end,
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't need to be, every single series doesn't need to be some universe ending, thing that's happening, But, anyways, I digress.
Well, Garbage agrees with you because your other point earlier, Ryan, had been make it a two-parter, of course, as well. So let's jump to Sean.
Yeah, I mean, number one is make the Doctor a hero. I'm sick of watching episodes.
Yeah.
Ricky, whatever his name is from Dot and Bubble, was more like the Doctor than the Doctor. The lady in this who was the commander was more like the Doctor. The soldier that they tried to make out was really stupid, but he wasn't. He was actually quite clever because he was the only one acting normal, going like, "Why are we taking orders off these two who've just randomly turned up?" And yet they made him seem like he was an idiot. But for me, another one again is the fact that again, half an hour into an episode, it just loses the plot. Like it had tension and you were trying to figure out what was going on. Then all of a sudden people just start flying all over the place. Like it was just ridiculous. It absolutely lost. It was. Do you know what I'm on about though? Because that's the moment the episode just absolutely lost it. It lost it.
Sean,
again.
Can I just check with you? Because this is New Who all over the place. And David Tennant did it all the time. There was the moment in the well when they built up the atmosphere, maybe a bit too slowly in parts, because like I said, me and Jamie were starting to get a bit bored. And then suddenly, that Shooty suddenly went, that's it. Right, Mercury on. You're a brilliant shot. You do this. We can get away. Come on. And you think, all right, suddenly we've gone from 2 miles an hour to blooming supersonic speed. And obviously, the Doctor can solve everything. Now, and of course, he looks like a hero. It's all sleight of hand, as Sonny's hinting at there, because suddenly the Doctor looks as though, because he's talking fast, and he looks as though he's got half an idea, he's brilliant. But as everybody looks in retrospect, he ballsed it up. The actual answer was, sadly, leave her behind, sadly, and everybody gets off. Instead, the whole of the universe is now going to face that entity, and that poor commander who was in charge of that mission, and the waffle about toxic masculinity in week 1. And I'm going to make the point again. You had another male soldier saying, code red, don't like your decisions. And so the female leader was losing out there. And then, so she's already been undermined by a man. And then another man called the Doctor decided to ignore her advice, which is to leave the kook behind.
Do you know what really annoyed me as well? Like the one thing that annoyed me more than any other, and I should have brought this up during our WTF. Do you know what really annoyed me? Right, this really dramatic scene. The commander, she decides to be the hero because the Doctor's just moans. She's running like she's run her whole life, and they show like as a kid, which felt kind of Moffat-y. I kind of liked it. And then she runs, and you think, right, go on, just dive face first into that well, but she stops and turns around and then like flops into it backwards, and I was like, what are you doing? Because it just made like, if you like, there's no time for you to make this look dramatic. Just jump in, just
Sean,
take this thing with you. It killed me. I hated it.
Sean, the other thing about that moment when she stopped is she's facing away from the Doctor. Let me just explain, of course, our midnight thing. She's facing that way. Her back is to the Doctor. You don't go behind the monster. So why didn't the Doctor go flying?
I don't know.
Sorry,
I really don't.
RTD, I've just got a little question on your technical dialogue there because, oh dear, another plot hole.
Well, maybe
That's
hold
a big
on. if we really want to read into it, maybe that's a sign that it was never on her back in the first place, and that it was on the other person that got away.
True. Okay, if that's the theory, Ryan, fair enough. If that, because if it's on the
I'm
ship,
just pulling that out of the top of
I
my
hope
head.
not. I mean, that could be true. Yeah, but I hope not. It would ruin the bi-generation thing, and that would ruin the through line of any semblance of plot since this era started.
but it would
So that-
ruin. And Doctor Who never used to do this. It would ruin the fact that you had this great human who has a sense of duty and self-sacrifice, killed herself, and unlike Alien 3, when the Ripley character was allowed to get the full heroic worship there, that she sacrificed herself and therefore morally defeated the alien, in this case, would have wasted her life. And Doctor Who doesn't do that, surely. Eye of Horus here, Children of Time, you see, tell me why I should watch the next 5 episodes as I haven't so far. Well, don't you want to know what happens with Mrs. Flood? Don't you want to watch the Eurovision special? No,
The
I'm
5
actually
left.
okay.
No.
Yeah,
5. Oh God.
5.
The
No,
last 5
okay.
episodes of Doctor Who.
Look, right, as per usual with this era, I'll answer this question first. Lucky Day is the one where the Doctor's hardly in it, and it always ends up being slightly better. And so I'm intrigued by that one. So you've got Unit back. You've got all the Doctor Who stuff you like, but the Doctor's not there saying honey and babes, I hope. So there's one thing. Do you know what? I'll be honest with you. There's no cynicism here. I'm intrigued by the story in the engine episode because I think we've got that spider god. I'm intrigued by that because that monster looks as though it could be interesting. So that's me being genuine. What would your thoughts be, Sonny? Why should Eye of Horus watch anything that's coming up from our guesses?
I wouldn't recommend it. If I had to recommend it, Mrs. Flood. I think that's the only interesting plot line happening. She's definitely manipulating everything, but Mrs. Flood is a retelling of the same plot he did before. Yep. I didn't watch it though, so it's new to me. That's why it's interesting for me. Like, if you don't know anything, this can become enjoyable. So that's the only thing I can say about why to recommend.
Ryan, are you looking forward to anything genuinely coming up?
I'm not looking forward to next week's. I'm really not looking forward to the Eurovision episode. And the big one with the big spider, that might be good. And then just for the finale, just to see what all of this tripe has been leading to. But quite frankly, I'm not sure I would have bothered with this season unless I had to sit here on the Tuesday night and review it.
Well, and I do different reviews on different days with different panels with different formats. But the Juno Dawson episode, I'm lining up some extra interesting panelists. I'll say no more. Sean, before we move on, you wanted to say how this could politely improve as a story.
Oh, I thought I'd have done mine.
Yeah, that was me.
I did mine, didn't
I didn't give my tips on how to improve.
Oh, was it you? Sorry, Sonny. Sorry.
No, you're good. I just wanted to say, so if I was talking to RTD, he's not gonna fix the plot holes. Give up on all the plot holes. So every plot hole we gave off throughout this episode, don't care about him. He needs to focus on truth and consequence. I need world building. I want to hear the truth about that the leader character Rebel. We shouldn't have got that at the very end. We should have got that way at the beginning and more about the other characters, right? And then I need consequence. The entity should have grabbed onto the doctor. If those two things happen, or just the entity grabbing onto the doctor, this episode would have been saved. I would have been like, you know what? A lot of it was window dressing, boring, but there was a consequence at the end. The entity's not escaped. It's connected to the doctor, so we know he's taking care of it, right? He's going to fix it at the end. But no, none of that's happening. This is a big nothing burger, and it stinks.
So Duncan says, I hope the spider god isn't too realistic. Then we've got Dalek Lives Matters. Thanks for coming back. We had a stoush the other day. We were all having a stoush the other day. The spider one will be worse. Farsight, is the spider god the one in the barbershop? Yes. And so it's kind of it's going into Nigerian literary references and everything. Yeah, it's a bit like Desmond's from Channel 4 meets Doctor Who. I think that's what's happening here. Peter Harrington, where's our son for Europe? Blinkety blink. I know. I mean, it's going to be a good one to watch and review, I think, if you get what I mean. It might be a busy one. Our What the F could go on all night. We might have to do a sequel. That's my guess. So, as you saw then, our flag of convenience, and this is when we just sum it up. That episode obviously did the lip reading thing, and so therefore, I'm guessing if there is a flag, we put the, we don't say disability nowadays, do we? But hearing impairment or whatever is the trendy word, we'd say it's all about British Sign Language or something like that. Were there any other virtues being rammed down our throats, Sonny, do you reckon?
If it did, my eyes were closed. If I'm being honest with you.
I didn't think. Sean wants to come flying in. Which flag have we got to fly?
I liked that moment where he says, whatever he says to Belinda, like watch her or don't take your eye off her or something, or whatever he says. Because I thought, oh my God, this is the Doctor actually acting like the Doctor and being. He didn't just take her at face value, and he was like, she's the only one left. She might have done this. I was disappointed I didn't carry that through to have her. I don't feel like it was too. I don't think it was rammed down your throat. I think the fact she was like, I can still lip read. I like that because not only is it realistic, it also, if they've played it a little bit better in terms of the music or in terms of the reactions, it might have given them an opportunity to be like, actually, she might be hiding something in terms of we don't really know where her motives are here, that she seems to be paying a lot of attention to people. I like that. I thought that was good.
So I'm just trying to ram through the material now. Ryan? If there's nothing, I can only think of the disability one, really.
The thing to be fair, yet again, one of those things, they could have done some really interesting things with that premise, but they just didn't.
Because they didn't really care, Ryan, to be honest with you.
Well, it wasn't written for somebody who had hearing loss. From the Unleashed, apparently exactly. So again, they've retrofitted it. They've retrofitted the midnight. They've retrofitted the hearing loss. Yeah. So it's all just an afterthought. So no wonder it feels rushed or like it doesn't really go into things enough because it's all just like, oh, try about this, try. It's very, very. What's the right word? What's the right word, Brendan? It's the opposite of this show. It's very unfocused. It's discipline. There's no discipline. That's the word I'm thinking.
I suppose I might raise the Black Lives Matters flag because, of course, he pretended that Sharma had a co-writing credit when, as Rachel said on our Sunday stream, it was very hard to see her input because it was all his midnight. Who's going to argue with Russell T Davies about midnight? I mean, so therefore, what a shame. I mean, I don't know her. I mean, but what chance did she have that as soon as they were co-writing, he said, I've got an idea. My best episode, Midnight, is going to be part of this. And then you can see, I bet you she'll have been crushed thinking, oh, right, so it's going to be all about you now. But in your interviews, I co-wrote, we've got women of colour. Aren't I amazing? Yeah. There's the flag. Aren't I good?
And yet, on the ladder, though, Brendan. It gets her foot on the ladder. It gets her foot on the ladder. It's like when James Patterson writes with all these different authors. He comes up with the idea and he gets the author to write it for him. He said this, but they sell it on the premise of being his book because he's the name that everyone knows. Like with this, I have a feeling that she probably wrote more of this than we think. And I'm not disagreeing with what Rachel said, but I feel like it was pared back. It was like calmed down. It wasn't as like virtue. It wasn't as like virtuous. It wasn't as for me.
The only bit where I thought, oh well, it looks as though we've gone and done an about turn is when that bit of dialogue said, "Don't call me babes," but the trouble was there's that extra line of pushing back. Because I thought maybe another writer has said to RTD, "Do men speak like that?" But then Ryan has just said, "Yeah, they do." I'm going, really? But maybe I'm just the dinosaur here. JWC Reviews, good to see you. If RTD really cared about hearing loss, why didn't he have that little bloke signing in the corner of the screen? And I mean, I get so tired of all this virtue signaling stuff. Anthony Green, I think there's been issues between RTD and the co-writer. Definitely, he took her idea and made it unrecognizable. Because, as he said, it's a base under siege type of thing, a mining colony. Tick, tick, tick. It all sounds great, Doctor Who. And then suddenly, we move to a different place. So, Sean, I'm just moving on because obviously we're well into time here. Sick bay is normally our quick item when I say, once you've moved on from this episode to having your life, is there anything that's, I think, going to have longevity of impact, give you nightmares, make you nauseous, make you have to be taken home by your parents because you've seen something or heard something that's really troubled you? Ryan, anything in that episode where you're going, it's doing me in, give me a headache?
The whole babes thing, stop doing that. Do my head in.
Okay, he's allowed to go home. Hopefully, he come back tomorrow and headache's gone. Sonny, anything making you nauseous?
If there was, I would have gave it a 1 out of 10. I was that bored.
I think you're getting sent home because you fell asleep in class with boredom.
Yeah, I got in trouble. I got in trouble for sleeping, and then I got detention.
That's it. Sean, what were you going to say about, are you nauseous?
I just don't care. This isn't going to be remembered in 5 minutes.
Oh, you're that kid who goes, I don't need your subjects,
maths.
That what you're.
I loved English. I love English, but for me, I struggle generally when I can't see a point in something. If you were teaching me something and you couldn't explain why, I have no interest. So with this episode, I have no interest because it's hollow. It's empty.
Right.
Vacuous. Insipid.
So we've he's used lots of English words. I will say well done. So everybody, have you liked us? Have you given us a subscription if you haven't normally? Have you reposted and said, hey, you want to check the Sense Sphere out? They have all these cheeky chappies on, and that was the Children of Time. So thank you, everybody. That was the week that was. That was the that was the news. That was the ratings. That was everything. So thank you, Sonny. No doubt Saturday night, Who Night, we'll be on again, won't we?
Oh, yeah. I got to be here to talk with my grandpa and uncles about Doctor Who.
What? Yep. And Ryan, thank you, because we all know. Can you shout out your business again, Ryan? Because you're making stuff and everything, and people might be interested. He's a Dalek freak here, aren't you?
Well, I literally have hundreds of them at this point. No, if you want to check out some of my stuff, my page is on everywhere. It's Titan Studios 3D, and we do a lot of fun Dalek kits. So there's a lot of really cool Doctor Who related kits coming very, very soon. So yeah, go and check that out and give us a like or a follow, whatever it is you do.
Yeah, it's all Doctor Who. There he is, and great stuff. And Sean, you've got your channel, so go on, plug away.
Yeah, cheers. I don't tend to waffle this much. I do. No, I do Review It Yourself. It's a film podcast. We do TV. We've done a few Doctor Who bits. It's myself and my co-host Sarah, who's from the south of England. So if you don't like my voice, you'll like hers. And yeah, we just basically go through a film and talk about what we like about it. Really get into it and deep dive about implications of what it means. But we're both big advocates of good writing, good stories, engaging characters, everything that Doctor Who isn't at the minute. So, go over and check that out wherever you listen to your podcasts. And again, to say to Brendan, it's a pleasure to come on. And I genuinely, this is the tiny little thing I'm enjoying about Doctor Who right now, is I get to do this. If it gets cancelled, my disappointment will be that I don't get to do this anymore. Like that's how far I just don't care about Doctor Who anymore, but I would miss this.
No, I've had a laugh tonight, and I do genuinely look forward to talking to you a lot about this. So, Sonny, before we go, I forgot you have your own little channel as well, don't you?
Yeah, I actually just posted, and like probably 30 minutes after this, I'll do a nice little post show on my YouTube where I'll just stream, and we're gonna listen to some other Doctor Who commentators and see what they thought about the well.
Okie doke. So there you go. There's a lot, we've got some well-connected people. They're all better connected than me. But there you go. So thanks for your time, everybody. Thank you again. Thanks, everybody. Thank you to those very generous people who have now bought some new sandals and underpants for the Hoopettes. So thank you, everybody. I think we're on again with the Detox. I'll be on again Wednesday, tomorrow night at 5 p.m. live with John Daly. Oh, yes. Say no more. You'll see the advert coming up tomorrow. Right. Wednesday, 5 p.m. live. Me and John. Whoa, the heavyweights. See you then. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Bye.
Bye.